The case against British businessman Shree Dewaney has been dismissed in the Western Cape High Court. It came before Deputy Judge President Jeanette Traverso, and she described today that she had to make her ruling on law rather than emotion. But emotions were running high outside the Western Cape High Court as South Africans expressed their anger at the ruling, saying that Shree Dewaney had simply gotten away with murder because he's wealthy. But let's have a look now at how Deputy Judge President Jeanette Traverso came to her ruling. First, we must note that testimony given by the men who were involved in Annie's hijacking and shooting was sketchy at best. In fact, we know that Mziwa Madoda Kwabe and Zolotongo, who both testified in court, gave contradictory evidence. They contradicted both themselves and each other. We know that in the South African justice system, it's up to the state or the prosecution to prove without reasonable doubt that the accused is guilty of the offense. But because of these contradictions between Tongo and Kwabe's testimony, the defense didn't have much work to do in casting doubt on the state's case. The state relied heavily on the testimony of Leopold Leiser, who is better known as the German master. Now, he testified that Shree Dewaney had paid him for sex on multiple occasions, and that Dewaney had confided in him that he was gay and that he didn't want to go through with his marriage. Now, that would have been good for the state if that testimony was allowed in court, but the defense preempted this all by getting Shree Dewaney to reveal in his admissions to the court that he was in fact bisexual. He'd had sexual relationships with men but still loved Annie Dewaney. When that evidence came between Traverso, she had to throw it out because she said Shree Dewaney's sexuality had nothing to do with the case. He did state that he loved Annie, and if he was bisexual, it's entirely possible that he could have had a fulfilling sexual relationship with a man, but also loved Annie Hindocha. After just 2 months of the trial, it became clear that the defense had preempted all of the state's steps, to the extent where the defense used Section 174 of the Criminal Procedures Act to have the case dismissed. Now, Section 174 of the Criminal Procedures Act states that if at the end of the state's case there's no reasonable evidence to suggest that the accused is guilty, the case could be dismissed. And that's exactly what Traverso did in the Western Cape High Court today. Dewaney will return to Bristol in the United Kingdom. However, Annie Hindocha's family have expressed their dismay with the justice system, saying that all they were hoping for was Shree Dewaney to give his account of what happened on the night their daughter and sister was killed.